I'm so sorry. I don't know what just happened. I just decided to come on Facebook to see if I can be able to get some few people who were with me. Please, I'm sorry. I don't know what had just happened. The call just went off, and I don't know if, yeah. Please, if you are joining me on Facebook, it's unfortunate that the call I was just running on Google Meeting had an issue and crashed, and I may not have the time to be able to go through just now to sort out what is the problem with my system. If you were following the program on Google Meet, please just switch to Facebook and let's see how it goes. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Yeah. If you are on, just comment. Let's see if we can run through a few things, then we call it a day. It's unfortunate. I really regret it and I apologize. All that is happening, please, I'm very, very sorry. Yeah. Thank you so much for connecting on Facebook. I'm so honored that you could be this smart. Yeah, please, if possible, can you just get some few people connected who were on the program so we can continue? We are talking on Ready for Marriage, and we're looking at some of those things that we look at, which is a sign of maturity or immaturity, as the case may be. Please just share as we try to get more people connected. I will just continue in one moment. Yes, please. I'll just continue in one moment. And thank you. I'm strong. The others, please, can you just comment? Let me know those who are on right now. Just comment with your name. Just comment. I will be able to see who is live right now, please. Thank you for trusting me, and thank you for making this quick switch. It's unfortunate that we had that challenge on Google Meet. But let's see how it goes here. Okay. All right. Thank you, Toby, Chris. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, we were discussing on Ready for Marriage, and the first thing we said is that marriage is for those who are matured. Marriage is for those who are matured. And thank you so much, those who are connected right now. You may just consider sharing it so that we get as many people as possible connected. Marriage is for those who are matured, and we're looking at signs of immaturity. And I was on one of those signs which says that those who are immature, they don't know how to compromise. And I said there are two extremes. They may just want you to do everything for them, take all the decisions, do everything, and they just sit and see, or they would want to decide everything on their own without thinking of how you feel, what you think, and they don't want you to make any contribution to your relationship. That's a sign of immaturity. A matured person would want that you discuss with them and you come to a compromise. You come to some form of middle point. You come to some form of agreement. And at some point, they will be willing to give up, their opinion to allow your own to prevail. And sometimes if they think that your opinion is better than theirs, if they're matured, they would be able to accept it with good faith so that the relationship should move forward. Another sign of immaturity, if you're in a relationship with somebody who always want to avoid you when there's any little moment of stress or any moment of disagreement, that person doesn't want to be close to you. The person just avoids you. Sometimes they may not like picking your call. Sometimes they will not like replying, your text messages. It's a sign of immaturity. That person who keeps pulling away in times of stress, in times of frictions, in times of difficulties, that person is not ready for marriage. What happens if you're in the same home after you married or you are staying together after your wedding? What happens in those moments of this disagreement, in those moments when things will not really move the way you want them to move? Because there will be such moments in your marriage, there will be such moments in your relationship. And somebody who is emotionally matured, that person should be able to face the difficulties that come your way. It could be the health problems, the family issues, the financial struggle, and things that will stress up your relationship. That person who is mature should be able to stay with you and then look for a solution to that problem. Many people are moving from one relationship to another because they are thinking to find a relationship without problems. They are thinking they will find a relationship without difficulties. And that is a sign of immaturity. They don't just want to stand the least stress. They don't just want to stand the least moment of difficulty. Thank you all for connecting. Please, you might consider sharing so we can get more people on. Yeah. So they would run away from you when there's some difficulties, some challenges, and that is not a good sign. You should be able to stay with somebody you love, even when things are not moving right, even when they annoy you, even when they get on your nerves, even when they say the unpleasant things. You should be able to stay with them, stay close to them, and work things out. Because it is staying close to them, working things out together, that makes the relationship work. If not, be ready to run away from the marriage when you get married. Be ready for some divorce. Be ready for some moments of separation. Be ready, for running to your parents or running to that. But people who are mature, they stay in the heat. They try to bring down the temperature. Yeah, there could be some moments, that moving away may be wise. That's when there is violence. And if you're in a relationship where there is violence and you are still in courtship and there's already violence, then that's a big sign for you to rethink. That's a big sign to tell you that your partner is not ready to have you in. It's not ready to create a space for you. And that person is not ready for marriage. Another thing you might want to consider is that if you're in a relationship with somebody and the person is constantly defensive, the person does not want to face their realities, does not want to face their pains. The person does not want to face their inadequacies. The person does not want to face their insecurities. And every time there's an issue that comes up, the person becomes defensive and doesn't want you to get into their space. They try to keep you away from certain information, from certain details, and they do not want you, to even correct them, because there are people who don't want you to correct them. They don't want you to reason anything different from what they are reasoning. And any way you want to reason anything different from what they think, they become so defensive, and that is not a healthy relationship. It is not a healthy relationship. When somebody becomes so defensive, and every time there's an issue, the person tries to defend themselves, and when they are obviously wrong, they will not want to admit their fault. They will not want to apologize for their faults. They will not want to ask for forgiveness. They will not want to make amends. And they keep trying to make you guilty for everything that happens in that relationship. Please, you need to watch out. That person might not be ready. That person might not be ready. We might just be handling this today about readiness, about maturity, about maturity. And it's important we dwell on it. If you're in a relationship where you literally have to do everything and give away just everything to please the other person, you know that it's not a healthy relationship. A relationship is a give and take. You don't just have to give everything, and you don't just have to take everything. You give and you take in every relationship you are in. And when somebody gets super defensive and would always want you to be moving on eggshells for fear of upsetting them, for fear of making them angry, for fear of making them mad, then it is time to reconsider and to understand that that person is not ready for a relationship. Anybody who is ready for a relationship, one, is ready to learn, is ready to adjust, is ready to change, is ready to give, and not only to take. And this is the error that many of us make, many people make when they get into a relationship. They are so selfish, they are so self-centered, they are so egocentric that everything they think about is about themselves. And I used to joke about it. They think about me, I, and myself. In their world, they are all that exists. They don't make room for you. And anytime you want to criticize them, you want to correct them, you want to advise them, they stand their ground, they get violent about it, they get so emotional and don't want you to correct anything they are doing. That's a big sign that that person is not ready for a relationship. And you should not, my own advice, you should not stay with somebody for long who is not ready for a relationship. And of course, that's why you need to be very careful before you get into any relationship. Another thing is, somebody who is immature and self-centered would not want to help out in the relationship. What they do is they just sit and enjoy the good things that are happening and would not want to contribute positively and meaningfully to see that the relationship moves forward. You do everything. Whether it's spiritual, they want you to initiate the fasting. They can't initiate no fasting. Whether it is financial, they want you to initiate every thinking. And no matter what stress and troubles and challenges you are in, they don't give you any helping hand. Somebody who is ready to marriage is ready to get another person into his life, into her life, into his space, into her space, and should be able to give a helping hand when that person is in need or facing some challenge. Immature people also don't want to be held accountable. Yeah, they don't want to be held accountable. And sometimes when you ask them records, when you ask them feedbacks, when you ask them accounts, they get offended. And sometimes you hear words like, if you trust me, then you should not care to know who I'm moving with. If you really trust me, then you should not be asking me where I'm coming from. If you really trust me, you won't be asking me the details of how I spent that money. If you really trust me, then you should, not be asking me, who did you talk with? Or what? I'm not saying you should be a monitoring spirit or something, but you should be accountable. You should be able to explain to somebody you want to enter into a relationship with or you're in a relationship with what is happening to you. And your friends are supposed to be known by him or by her. They're supposed to know the kind of people you relate with, the kind of people you are talking with, and of course, important things you're discussing with them, they should be able to know. And so you're supposed to be accountable. If you are mature, then you should be accountable. And being accountable also means owning up for the things that go wrong. When you do a wrong thing, you should be able to admit it. You should be able to acknowledge the wrong things you did and not try to push the blames on other people. All right, I did this because my friends took me there. I did it because my friends asked me to do it. They are not responsible for anything that happens. They always have somebody to blame for something in their life. They don't want to own up, or they don't want to own their own mess. People who are matured should be mature enough to tell you, yes, I messed up. Yes, I did it wrong here. I'm sorry. I was not supposed to have done this. I was not supposed to have said this. But people who are immature, they try to become very unaccountable and will not want you to blame them for anything that goes wrong in that relationship. They are selfish. They think only about themselves. And everything they are planning, they plan about themselves. That's why they don't tell you their plans. And that's why you might be in a relationship and somebody is working on a project, they want to travel and you don't know. That tells you they are not ready for you. And I already mentioned something about holding grudges. Somebody in a relationship who keeps remembering all the wrong things you have done every time you have any trouble means that person is not ready for a relationship. Because the truth is, when you get into marriage, you have occasion to displease, to hurt each other many times. You will never know how much, but you really have to hurt each other many times. And those who are immature, sometimes they don't know what they want. So they just wait for things to happen and they just follow the way things are going on. And mostly speak in spiritual terms, because they don't have no specific program, no specific agenda, no specific blueprints, no dreams, no visions, no projects. They keep telling you how they are trusting God for a miracle. It's good to trust God for a miracle. But what plans do you have? I think the Bible says that God blesses whatever we touch. Yes, you need to touch something. You need to be doing something. You need to be involved with something. You need to be having a plan about something. And God is going to bless that. One other thing to note about immature people that they easily get angry. They easily get irritated. Anger, unforgiveness, selfishness, pride, all of those things, they are manifestations of immaturity. And they just get angry at just anything. Any least thing that shows up in the relationship, they get into anger and they get into name calling. Sometimes they might even get so mean to the point of being abusive, being insultive, and try to say some nasty things about you. And I always tell people, when people get angry and they call you some names, just know that that is the real image they have about you. It's not just about the anger. It's just that they have just had the opportunity to use that circumstance to tell you what they had in mind. When people get angry and they insult your family, when someone you're in a relationship with gets angry and insults your family or insults you or talks mean about you, that may just be what they have in their minds about you. So it's up to you to think, am I ready to go into continuing a relationship with this kind of person who doesn't value me or who places very little value on my person, who doesn't place premium value on who I am? Am I ready to continue with such a person? When they get angry, they can get very mean and they begin to say all sort of things. And it's important that you think about. They attack your character. Healthy conflict resolution is about focusing on the problem itself. But oftentimes what we do is we leave the problem and we are talking to the people. You're not addressing what makes you angry, but you are talking about the character of the people who make you angry. And that is a serious issue. When somebody has a problem of focusing on the problems or the issues at hand and tries to describe you or tries to become, very mean to your person, then it's an indication that that person is not mature. If the problem is about the table, let's talk about the table. Let's not talk about how stupid I am to do what I did to the table. Let's not talk about how uncultured I am to have done what I did. But let's see how we can solve the problem at hand. Yes, I did the wrong thing. What is the wrong thing? And people who are matured mostly talk from their own end. I feel bad the way you behave. I was so ashamed when I saw what you did. I felt disappointed. Now, but people who are immature, they'll get personal. They'll tell you, how stupid were you? What were you thinking in your dumb mind, dumb brain, when you were doing what you were doing? What a disgrace you are. You imagine that. It's not I feel ashamed or I felt bad. It's about what a disgrace you are. How stupid you were. How uncultured you were. And that is very unhealthy in a relationship. And when there are issues, address the issue. Oh, the way you behaved in that place, I was so worried. I was not happy at all. I felt ashamed. I felt bad. I'm talking about how I felt. I'm not describing how you are. You were so primitive, You behaved as a civilized person. That's getting personal. And that's getting very delicate. And there's nobody who would smile when their person is being attacked, when their personality is being attacked, when the person talking to them doesn't address them with some decorum, with some respect, with some value. Everybody will be repulsive when those kind of things begin to happen. And they may want to fight back. They may want to resist it. They may want to also prove that they can use those nasty words too. And when they begin to use those nasty words too, back at you, you now see a whole fight breaks out. A whole fire breaks out. A whole explosion. And many wrong things can happen at that point. Immature people get angry easily and they easily take things personal. And sometimes when you just mean harm, they interpret what you have said to length and breadth that you never imagined. And this is also a sign, because immature people are very insecure. That's another thing you know about immature people. They are very, very insecure. And anger is a manifestation of insecurity. Being defensive, as we mentioned earlier, is a manifestation of insecurity. Because they don't think they are secure in that relationship, so they do everything to fight. They do everything to put up a resistance. And when insecurity comes or is in a relationship, it's important that you deal with it. What are the reasons for your fears? Have you heard something about the other person that makes you afraid? If you have heard anything about them that makes you afraid, why not discuss with them about that? Why not talk with them about those things that make you afraid or make you uncomfortable? Why not reason things out with them? Is there anything that, that you make with them that, is there anything that you have heard that makes you doubt their genuine commitment to the relationship? Is that why you're feeling insecure? It's important that you sort that out with them. You sort that out with them before you proceed in your relationship. And if you're in a relationship where, this is a kind of way of caution, where you don't feel excited, you don't feel happy, you don't feel emotionally, satisfied. I'm not talking about having sex with that person. That's not what we're talking about in a godly relationship. We're talking of you just feeling at peace, feeling at ease when you think about a person, when you are close to that person. If you feel some strange fear or uneasiness in your spirit, then it's important you slow down and think. You slow down and, try to understand what's going on before you push it. We have talked of just one point today about For you to know you're ready for marriage, you should check if you are matured. Are you matured mentally? Are you able to think like a married man? Are you ready to think like a mother? Are you ready to think like a father? Are you ready to think like a husband? Are you ready to think like a wife? Some people are married, but they are still thinking like singles. And the moment you get into a relationship, there's a whole lot of things you have to do to reprogram your mind. You don't just talk about me, you talk about us. You don't just talk about I, you talk about us. Because you are already having somebody you are including in your private space, and that person has to be considered in whatever you are thinking, in whatever you are planning, any future project. You don't just do your things and after all, I'll do it and let them know. I'll do it and then just tell them. People feel insecure sometimes when they're in a relationship where they only get informed of things when those things are already done. Maybe let's just handle this last point, then I'll have some few minutes for you to ask your questions. If you have questions on what we have discussed this far, you might just type the question and I will attempt answering it. The second and last point we'll consider today on ready for marriage, how do you know you're ready for marriage, is that you should discover yourself. While we're discussing this, if you have any question on the first points we have discussed, please just put in the text section and I will be able to attempt an answer. The second and last point we are going to consider today is discover yourself. Now, so many people don't know who they are. And if you don't know who you are, if you don't appreciate who you are, if you are not happy with who you are, then you will not be able to know who you would want to marry. You will not be able to be happy even if you're in a relationship. And you may not even appreciate the other person with whom you are in that relationship. It begins with yourself. Who are you? Have you discovered who you really are? What are your potentials? What are your dreams? What are your prospects in life? What are your visions? What is your purpose in life? Have you been able to find out your specific assignment? What is it that you are to accomplish? Now, you see, sometimes people complain about their spouses. You know, I got married to this woman doesn't support my ministry. And you knew that you were somebody who was ministry oriented. If you actually understood that, and you knew your specific assignment, and you knew what you have been called to do by God, or you know what your visions are, your natural dreams in life are, then you must be able to think of hooking up with somebody who falls not exactly in what you are doing, but who supports what you are doing, and who would be able to contribute to what you think it's your purpose and your mission in life. If you don't understand this, you get into a relationship and the next moment is you begin to complain how this woman is not supportive, how that man doesn't support your vision. The truth is you never knew who you were. You never understood your specific assignment. You never understood your specific purpose in life. You never even understood the call that you have in your life, because if you understood, then that should have guided you into which kind of woman or which kind of man to accept in your life. Now, sometimes some people may not give you their time as a support to what you are doing, but they may give you their money. Sometimes they may give you their prayers. Sometimes they may give you moral support. You don't get into a relationship without discovering who you are, because that is the beginning point into knowing who you should marry. And people who don't know who they are and who just exist, they are very unstable and they keep changing, because actually they just see something, they get excited about it, they talk about it, and the next moment they see something different, they like it, they talk about it, they switch to it, and the next moment they are saying some other thing, and they are very unstable and cannot be trusted. John the Baptist was very clear about his mission. In John chapter 1 verse 23, John the Baptist says, "I'm the voice of one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord, as said the prophet." People went to him and asked, "Are you the Messiah? Are you the Messiah we are waiting for?" John the Baptist knew who he was. He knew his specific assignment. He knew that he was not Jesus. He knew that he would not play the role of Jesus. But he knew that he was sent to prepare the way for Jesus. And it's important for you to know your specific assignment, who you really are in life. If you don't know that, then you try to be just anybody. Even Jesus, before Pilate, answered Pilate. When Pilate asked him, "Are you therefore a king?" And in John chapter 18, verse 37, John 18:37, Jesus said, "Thou sayest that I'm a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. And everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice." Jesus didn't blink. He knew exactly who he was, and he knew his specific assignment. He knew his specific purpose. Sometimes even in ministry, people are messing up big time. Somebody opens a church today, closes it tomorrow. The next time he opens another one, closes it. It's a matter of assignment. Do you really know who you are? Do you really know what you are supposed to do? If you're supposed to do that, that makes you stable. That makes you consistent. That makes you dependable. That makes you constant. Somebody that can be counted on, because you really know, you know what you are. You know who you are. You know what exactly is your purpose, what you have to achieve, and you are following it. It might not come as fast as you wish it to be, but it's going to come anyway. Do you really know who you are? Have you discovered your purpose in life? And it's important, if you have not discovered your purpose in life, slow down with the issues of marriage. Don't get into any relationship, because you might just be getting into a relationship with somebody who is completely opposite to the direction you want to go. You need to discover yourself. And another aspect about discovering yourself is, what is the material you are made of? What are the kind of things you can accept and bear in life? You need to know this. Now, let's imagine that you are somebody who likes a lot of presence. You want your spouse to be around you. You need a lot of company or companionship, and emotionally you need to be satisfied every now and then. And then you get married to an evangelist who has to be traveling the breadth and wide, length and breadth of the nations of the world. And you get married to an international businessman or businesswoman. You know, it's a big challenge. Or you get married to somebody who is a workaholic. Because there are some people who are addicted to work. And though the work might be having a negative toll on their relationships, on their family, they get so addicted and committed to work that they don't have time for just any other thing. And the moment they get home, they are tired, they are isolated, they are exhausted, and they will not want to have anything to do with you. You have to be very careful. What are the things you can bear? What is your social status? And some of the reasons why some people don't even marry or delay in marriage, because they are always looking for the wrong people to marry. They are just looking always for the wrong person. You should know who you are and what your social status is. What is your character type? What's your temperament? Those specific details about yourself. What is the kind of things that, or what are the kind of things that you want to have around you? And if you don't have these details, if you don't try to appreciate yourself, if you don't have detailed information about who you really are, And what you can accept, you may not even really know what you're looking for. That's why you can see a brother propose to 4 or 5 sisters at the same time. That is wicked. That's immature. That's dangerous. Now, what if all the 4 sisters accept your proposal? What happens? And some years ago, I had to ask a brother this question. Around the year 2000, he told me he had proposed to 4 girls. And I told him, what are you doing? You are playing with the emotions of these girls. And he told me no, he doesn't know which one of them will accept. So he has proposed to so many of them so that whoever accepts, he moves on with that one. I said, but what if all of them accept? How are you going to manage that? And that's a big question. Because you don't really know what you want, who you are. You don't know your level. You should also know your level. It's not because people are all Christians that everybody marries anybody. I'm sorry, please don't take it as being insultive. But it's quite important that we get honest and, we get real. And I would think that you have your own type and your kinds that move, that kind of put you on and, the kind of persons you like. And you should also think that others too have their type or their types that they like. And you should really have those important things. And when you discover yourself, you know who you are, your purpose in life, you will feel good about yourself. If you don't love yourself, if you don't feel good about yourself, if you don't appreciate yourself, forget, nobody will appreciate you. And sometimes I get very subjective when I talk about myself. And sometimes I'll tell people, I'm the most handsome guy in the world. Yeah, it's not true, right? Yes, but to me, I find it true. If I'm not happy with who I am, if I'm not happy with what I am, then I don't expect some other person to be happy with my personality. And if you're not happy with your personality, you're not happy with who you are, what you are, and you're not happy with, your physical appearance. Why are people going into a lot of bleaching, trying to change their colors, complexions? It's because they're not satisfied with who they are. Why are ladies so much doing a lot of painting? And sometimes they put on those things, you can't even know who they are. You get to weddings, you get to some of those occasions, you can't even identify people you already know. It's because they're not happy with who they are. And that's why they are trying to create another face. They're trying to create another person. I'm not saying you should not look good. Look good, but don't be somebody you are not. Be happy with who you are. If you are black, be happy with your black complexion. If you are fair, be happy with your fair complexion. If you are fat, be happy with it. Even if you want to cut down, don't put, don't get so hard on yourself. You can actually cut down without getting angry with your shape, but actually making a program and a project to work on to see that you reduce in size. If that's your objective. You can actually get happy even if you're short in height, or if you're tall, or if you're small. And that's a problem we have. Some people are quite small in size. They want to grow fat. Some are fat. They want to grow small. Some are short. They are wearing high heels to get tall. Some are tall. They are not happy with their height. They want to wear, what they call it, ballerine, so they can be short. Because when they wear high heels, they get too tall. And you see, that's a whole problem. Wear these things not because you are unhappy with yourself. Wear them because you like them. Not because you don't like yourself. And you try to change yourself. The reason why you're going into a lot of artificial things and trying to, make up. Of course, make up means you're making up for what you think you don't have. And when you load all those layers upon layers and all of that, you are simply telling the people you are not satisfied with who you are. How many faces do you finally have? Yesterday, it was a different face. Right now, it's a different face. The moment we meet you tomorrow is a different face. Remember, I'm not against you looking good. No, It's good to look good, but there's a level of makeup that shows insecurity. That shows you are not happy with who you are. And if you're not happy with who you are, don't expect people to love you. Discover yourself. Discover your purpose. Discover your mission in this life. Discover your life's mission. What dream do you have? What vision? What goals do you have? When you are not settled with these things, you are not ready for marriage. You don't need to be 40 before you are settled with these things. You don't need to be 50. You could be 20 and you have a direction in life. You could just be 18, but you have a direction in life. You have discovered yourself. You know what you want in life. You know the kind of things, the kind of people that should come close to you in your life. You are so sure of what you need. That kind of person is ready for marriage. And I'm going to round up here. Just in case you have any question, please, I'm ready to answer your questions in the next few minutes. Again, I apologize for the challenge we had on Google Meet. Maybe next time we have to go on just Facebook straight. I had loved Google Meet because it gave us the opportunity to see faces. Yeah. And I don't know what happens. I've been doing teaching on Google Meet for hours and it never disappointed me. So maybe I'll sort that out and we'll see what to do. So please, if you have any question, I would like to answer. Just type it. The next 5 to 10 minutes, I'll be shutting down. If you have any questions, please. We have talked about 2 things today on getting ready. If you're ready to discussing to know if you are ready for marriage. The first thing is that marriage is for mature people. We have handled different aspects of it. And the second thing is that you must discover yourself before you get into any relationship, so that you don't keep going in and out of relationship. If I stay on for 1 minute without any question, I will presume that there is no question and we end it and call it a day. God bless you. Thank you so much, Uncle P. Thank you, Brother Collins. Thank you, Toby. Brother Toby asked the question, what if you are ready to marry and your partner isn't ready? How can you solve this? Yeah. The first thing is, why do you choose somebody who is not ready while you are ready? And personally, I don't encourage long courtships. When I say long courtships that go beyond 1 year. Yes, I don't encourage it. That's personal anyway. Some people might have their different opinions and I have my reasons for that. So the first thing is, if you are ready to marry, you get to somebody who is ready for marriage. That's the first thing. And you don't just propose to a total stranger. You only propose to somebody that you know, somebody you have been interacting with in some way. I always believe that good marriage and good relationship is built on friendship love. And if you have somebody in your space that you have been friends with for some time, you know them, they know you, you interact at some level, you might know if they are ready or not. And you have to approach the one who is ready. Another thing is, why do you think that person is not ready? Maybe you need to talk things out with that person on the specific things that you have seen. Because sometimes people really need help. I said at the beginning of the meeting on Google Meet that we don't have schools where these things are taught. And even in our homes, we don't have the right information that we need. And so oftentimes, the parents only quarrel or kind of rebuke us when we go wrong. But they don't sit us down to teach us what we should do. So we get up and do the right thing. So you might want to consider talking with them with that person. What aspect of that person's life do you see that shows you that the person is not ready? Talk to that person. If the person makes a change, makes an adjustment, then that will be fine. But one thing that you need to avoid too is getting into a relationship with a view of changing another person. It's very frustrating. Yes, don't be focused on changing somebody. Yes, don't be focused on changing somebody. It's a very bad approach. When you are focusing on changing somebody, you might get frustrated in that relationship because people really don't easily change. I know what I'm talking about. People don't really easily change on the most part. So, but if you can talk with a person and the person can see, fine. Or are you ready to accept that person the way they are? Like I said, it depends on what exactly you are seeing in their life that shows that they are not ready. So you need to judge that. Because if I understand the specific issues, then I'll be able to give a specific answer. But I'm just thinking, just not knowing exactly what is the issue. Okay, let's think about somebody who is not thinking about the future. That's the problem. Somebody who doesn't plan about tomorrow. He wants you to go spend the money now, lick the ice creams, go to the shawarma, get some good times. He doesn't think about anything long term, get the iPhones, get some, groovy moments. Let's go to movie, let's go to this party, let's go to this, let's go to this. You might have to sit that person down and say, hey, it's good, to get relaxation, to get some of these things. But can we really think of something more long-term? It's good to get the iPhones, but what about this investment? It's good, to go around and lick the ice creams and the shawarma, whatever. But what about building up ourselves? What about thinking about what our relationship should be in the next 1 year? What program, what project do we have? And you might just succeed to have the person think and plan with you, and that will be fine. I don't know if I've answered your question. If there is no other question, then I appreciate you all. Thank you, Brother Armstrong, for switching quickly to this. Thank you, Uncle P, Brother Peter Akbar. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sister Lois. Thank you, Sister Beagle. Thank you, Sister Mwashi Scholastica. I'm glad, though you are not single, you decided to come on. Yeah, thank you so much, every one of you. I'm so glad that you came on, and I'll sort the issues of technology up, and surely in the next edition, we would have a better time. You might want to get to me at any time with any questions, and we trust God that we discuss together and have an answer to it. God bless you. Thank you for signing on Single, Mingle, and Jingle. God bless you and have a great day or great evening for some of you who are in the night already. Shalom.